So set up your posture. And come into your meditation practice tonight with kind of a nourishing inclination. All of the actions and busyness of our life kind of build up and manifest as holding in the body and tension. So allow yourself to relax into your seat and notice any places of holding and see if you can start to let it go physically first. All of our stressful thoughts, the pressures in our life, our duties, our responsibilities, we can carry with excess tension in the body. And with mindfulness, we become aware of this holding and give ourselves permission to let it go. Deepen your belly. Relaxing in your throat. Your shoulders. Entering your practice more like you're going in for healing rather than another task that you have to do. Because we have this inner healer in us, pure awareness. All of the movements of our mind and body are healed in the light of a pure awareness. It's like our own body wants to be seen by us. Our own mind, our thoughts, our feelings, our desires, our longing. Our grief, our joy. So access that place, you have it in your heart, that sees before judging, before shaming, before ideas of good or bad or right or wrong. And connect with you just as you are in this moment. Pain, pleasure, and everything in between. And then we'll give our mind, the heart-mind awareness, a resting place. The breath. Notice where you feel touch or movement of the breath. A rising sensation of the inhale, a falling sensation of the exhale. Observing the breath as it is, a long breath or a short breath. Making a mental label, inhaling as you breathe in, exhaling as you breathe out. Observing the mind do what it does. Mental images, stories, thoughts. See the mind wandering. Simply note wandering. And then gently come back to the breath. not oppressing thoughts and not getting lost in them. If sounds pull your attention, drop the breath. Bring your awareness right to your inner ear, connecting awareness with the process of hearing. Sounds arising, peaking, passing away. With mindfulness, what we're aware of is not important. Awareness is important. Awareness of whatever is actually happening in this present moment. Hearing, breath, thoughts, sensations in the body. Keeping the mind grounded by coming back to the breath again and again. Tension will well back up in our body, so periodically check in, relax your belly, your shoulders. Give yourself permission to let go of all the pressure in your life for now. And let your wholehearted attention settle in this moment, this breath. feeling of our experience will change as we practice. Comfortable, uncomfortable, neutral, pleasant, unpleasant. Noting an unpleasant experience as such, let it come, let it go. Unpleasant sensations in your body. Unpleasant experiences in your heart. Let them come and go. Gently bring your awareness a little closer to the breath. Watching the inhale as it begins until it ends. The space between the inhale and exhale. The exhale from the beginning to end. I'll ring the bell for the end of the class. And when I do, listen to the sound of the bell until you don't hear it anymore. So nice to sit with you all in person. Um, in 2003 in New York City, there was a massive blackout all along the East Coast. I don't know if you guys remember it. I lived in Brooklyn at that time, and from the rooftop of my house, you could see the whole Manhattan skyline from Trade Center all the way up to the 59th Street Bridge. So it's in Greenpoint on the East River. And when the blackout happened, were you there? You were. Uh, I mean, New York City was blacked out. It was so cool. I mean, where it was usually all kind of lit up, it was completely just black. There was a few hospitals that had generators and you could see their lights and that was it. But even cooler than that was that everybody went out into the streets and there was a local pub and everybody just went and gathered and suddenly had a strong desire to make a connection with people. And they did one night, one night, and then no screens. Okay. Dark at home. Okay. And this was pre-social media, really. I mean, nobody was, Facebook was after that for sure. Um, and we need that connection, and we're getting it less and less. And it's dangerous. It's actually dangerous. So I've been inviting people in my classes to be with an open mind, not given an answer or, you know, saying what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, but explore it within ourselves, how much our devices and social media might be preventing us, might be being used as a crutch to make connection and then preventing us from making deeper connections in our lives. We can feel it in a group like this. Zoom is good too. Zoom, second best. In person, of course, is the best because we relate to each other on levels that we're not very conscious of. I was thinking about it today as people on social media will share their political views, and I had a funny vision of my mind of somebody walking in here and just yelling their political opinion. That's kind of what you're doing, right? This is kind of what you're doing. We do things we wouldn't do, right? We do things we wouldn't do in a text message, in an email, online. It's very different when we can see each other. Last week, a friend of mine came into Las Vegas, and I have very much a email relationship, text relationship with her, and it was just so different to be present with her. I saw her vulnerability a little bit more than I can with just my stories of her in my mind. We're actually pretty ungenerous towards each other when we live in the ideas of our stories. Why? Because human consciousness goes negative 80% of the time, or they say psychologists 80% of the time. I think it's more than that. But psychologists always say, so we can be, I don't know, do you reflect and ponder upon the good qualities of your friends and family when they're not with you? Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. But the stories we create about people can be more ungenerous, more, not generous than what they actually are. And so I think it's good for all of us as we practice mindfulness. What we're doing is exploring on a very deep level, bringing consciousness and a conscious awareness to our life to see what leads to pain and suffering, stress in minor and major ways, and then what leads to fulfillment. And we all live a life where we're kind of going on habit of things and not being very consciously aware, things we put into our bodies, unconsciously looking at our phones or unconsciously having a habit that we don't really realize. So one of our habits is these things that we have, these devices. And it's a place that we can start to illuminate without judgment, without what is the cause and effect, what is the effect that it is having on us? And then how can we, well, you don't even have to ask the how. Because the beautiful thing about mindfulness or awareness is that it wakes up our wisdom. Wisdom is panya, also means understanding the way life works and the law of causality, the law of cause and effect, that there are actions that we take. It's not all random. Life is unfolding according to causes and conditions. And so when we illuminate our lives, we find the causes of, oh, this is why I'm feeling a heaviness or not sleeping at night or actively worrying about this kind of scenario. Oh, this is why there's a cause. And we're so smart that when we really see those causes, we like putting your hand on a hot flame or something, you pull the hand away. It's the same when we really see the causes in our life of suffering. And that's why mindfulness is so powerful. We sit here and we watch the activity of the mind, become intimate with it, and we see very clearly, oh, this ruminating on my bad qualities is actually not doing anything good for me. I thought I was being helpful. This imagining the worst case scenarios of the future is actually it's not changing anything. And it's making me feel anxious and afraid and debilitated and, name the thing. The mind is full of it. Not just your mind. That is what the Buddha pointed out in the first noble truth, the truth of stress. It's universal. This is what we get being born into this world, a mind filled with what are called defilements, afflictions. Kilesas is the Pali word. Do you guys like that word? Yeah, oh, you're fine with it. Huh? I wasn't fine with it. I was like, I'm not defiled. When I first started practicing. Yeah, kilesas, yeah. Defilement or affliction, whatever translation feels like it really touches home with you. What does it mean? It means a mind state that hurts when we experience it. Do you guys have any of those? Yeah. None of us would seek relief like we do from meditation if we didn't have those. And that is the very thing that meditation heals. We are not stuck with it. We put in the causes and that will definitely change the cause of awareness. We have wholesome states of mind, these helpful places also, and those grow in the light of awareness because we see, oh, being forgiving actually really helps me. My heart is open. I'm not in so much pain or being generous or being kind or being thoughtful. So illuminating our whole life, and we do it on the cushion by looking at the mind very intimately, but we are meant to bring it out into all aspects of our life and see what are the thoughts, words, and actions that we're taking. That's the whole of the Buddhist practice. Stress and the end of stress. So that's what the Buddha said. I teach one thing only, dukkha and the end of dukkha. Stress, pain, and the end of pain, suffering, and the end of suffering. Suffering, so what is it and how does it arise? There's causes. And then what can we do about it? There's something we can do about it. So maybe you notice, causes that you put in your meditation practice. Can you feel an effect of your meditation practice tonight? A little bit calmer, slightly more relaxed, whatever. If not, you might not have been practicing correctly or carefully. Because we will experience the benefits of our practice. Jack was here. Maybe some of you were here Sunday. Anybody here Sunday when Jack Cornfield came through? Okay, yeah, nice. He referenced a sutta that is absolutely one of my favorites because it brings me relief every time I just hear it. And he referenced it, and it's actually a really long sutta, but he referenced it in the way of, how do we handle facing the suffering that we see in the world? And in this sutta, the Buddha advises we see people that cause harm to others, that behave in ways that, you know, are disappointing or shocking or terrible or whatever. And the Buddha taught that others will be cruel, we shall not be cruel. And thus we shall incline our hearts. He said the inclination of the heart towards wholesome states, just the inclination. You can incline your mind to be kind. You can incline your mind to be calm. You can incline your mind to be joyful or mindful. Just the inclination brings benefit, he said, let alone when we actually act on kindness with our words and with our actions. That brings even a greater benefit. But I love that reflection because when we see things out in the world, there can be part of us that really wastes our energy with, how am I going to fix that person? How can I change all of that external? And this is a reminder that our practice is to bring it back to ourselves. And it's an acknowledgement, really, that I find very helpful. We shouldn't live with people that are cruel. We shouldn't live with people that kill. We shouldn't live with this, but we do. So that for me is just very grounding. That's the way things are. And our work with practice is always how we respond to it. So these detailed ways of talking about it for me, it brings so much, a relief of stress, the stress of trying to fix other people, right? We can't do that. We've all tried. Yeah, we can't do that. But we can. Others will be cruel. We shall not be cruel. Thus, we shall incline our hearts. Others will kill. We shall not. Thus, we will incline our hearts. Others will steal, speak falsehood. We shall speak the truth. Thus, we shall incline our hearts. But it goes on, and I'll just pick some of them. Others, and you can find whichever ones of these are very meaningful for you. Others will speak maliciously or harshly. Others will gossip. Others will be angry. Others will be resentful, contemptuous, insolent, envious, fraudulent, deceitful, obstinate, negligent. Others will be unmindful. We shall be established in mindfulness. Thus, we can incline our hearts. Others will adhere to their own views, hold on to them tenaciously, and relinquish them with difficulty. We shall not adhere to our own views, hold on to them tenaciously, but shall relinquish them easily. Thus, we shall train our hearts. So you can find any one of those that feels meaningful in your life, something you've observed that maybe you felt disappointed by. And then how does that feel to just say, okay, they can be that way, but I'm not going to be that way. In this sutta, he goes over those things, and there's more than that. But for various One is for the inclination of the heart. And another reason is for the way leading upward, the path that leads upwards. What we find is the development of wholesome states brings a protection to us. There's a saying in Buddhist practice, maybe you've heard it before, that the Dharma protects those who protect the Dharma. Have you heard that? Yeah. Have you felt it on the inside? When you're living inside of the practice, that you start to feel life. It was something I noticed right away when I started practicing, having gone from a young person who was kind of partying and, maybe less careful with my actions in the world, to somebody that was like, okay, serious and mindful, and I'm not going to harm, and I'm not going to stop. I stopped drinking at that time. And I just really saw and felt this great protection come in. And so you get protected. And because of the law of cause and effect, you also get uplifted. Somebody told me early on, their life just kept getting better. And then I observed that in myself too. It helped me to let go of the wheels. I was trying to control outcomes. How is this going to be good? And then let go. Just put in the causes. Be a good person. Be a kind person. And actually, it is upward. You go upward. People start to respond to you better. Even your reputation gets lifted. People like you more. All of those kinds of things are part of the effects of practice. And so it is a path upward. People lose trust in it, though. They see others are behaving in ways and divisive. Okay, then we're going to be divisive also. Without a solid sense of virtue and a base, a foundation, a structure, I needed it. I would have been seduced to do that also. I remember talking to somebody it was on a political thing. He was a liberal, and it was in the Bush time. Fox News was coming out, and they were kind of being very negative at this time. And there was the other side that was like trying to avoid. And so he was in news, and they were starting to think about like spinning things in a negative way because Fox was doing it, like going down, plain dirty, because they're doing it also. And I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't lower yourself. Never lower yourself. Hold on to your values, Others will lie. We shall not lie. Those who don't hold on to their values is a path downwards. You empower anything, and it's hard to see. You got to take the long view. Sayadaw Pandita in Burma would always talk about the long view, because you don't see those things instantaneously, but over time you do. Gandhi used to talk about that. Over time, the nonviolent movement will succeed. It will win. Over time, that is the path upwards. Loving kindness will win. Over time, it will. And those who behave cruelly always go down. Always, always, always. It's not instantaneous, though. They look like they're winning for a while, you know? They look like they're getting ahead that way. You start losing faith, and then you let yourself go lower. Okay, I'm going to go low too. Let hatred overcome your heart. Hatred will always divide. And there's conflicts in the world, and we know all about them, that would just one offense after another and after another after another. Hatred doesn't cease with hatred, but with love alone does hatred cease. This is an eternal law. It's a law, and it's a very observable law, and you got to try it with faith. So we hold on to the virtues and values as our guide, not the whims, right, of the world, and let don't ever let them go away. And as long as you protect that, you will be protected. And if groups of people do that, groups of people will be protected. They will go upward. I watched the people who've cared diligently for the Dharma. There's nobody that does so like the Burmese monasteries that I've gone to. The amount of care and the words that they speak is exquisite. It's absolutely exquisite. Sayadaw Pandita was just like, never missed, never an off word. They don't speak about the students to each other even. They're so careful with their words, and they would never, ever, ever talk bad about you behind your back. I can't say that for anybody in my family. They talk shit about me all the time. As soon as I leave the room, I know they do, right? It's not how we are with each other, but when somebody has that kind of care in life and they just, we're talking about people that are poor, that came to world renowned with centers all over. They came from villages of poor, poor, impoverished people. And they kept their sila like that, and they grew followings of people around it, and they became more and more refined, and still their centers are growing. And I've seen other people who, were not careful in the Dharma, and they would go down. So all to inspire. I was always afraid in the early part of my practice before I had the faith that I do now, that trusts 100% that it's never brought me anything bad. I was always afraid I'm going to have to give something up, but you don't have to give anything up except for pain and suffering. That will go. That will lessen and lessen and lessen in our life. So we hold to the values of practice. The world is asking us to do that, and it's going against the stream because mostly greed, hatred, and delusion are in control. It's mostly a downstream of greed, hatred, and delusion. It's a rough part of the universe that we live in. So to be shining lights and go against that stream is hard. To practice takes a lot of effort, but it is beyond, like keeping your room clean. It is so worth living in that kind of space. And so we keep the room clean in our own mind, and it's so worth living in that kind of space. The refuges are sila, not harming others, right? Being very intentional about it. Maybe for you, have you killed anybody today, for example? Nobody. Okay. That's very good. I talk about this a lot. I mean, that sounds easy to some, but it doesn't sound easy to everybody. My son had a good friend in New York that mom was a Crip, dad was a Blood. He was in gangs his whole life, and he killed people. He never got that message, growing up, don't kill. So for us, it's easy, but it's a value that still we have to honor and cherish and set as an intention, not destroying living beings. And when we set it as an intention, we're doing it as a way of celebrating it right within inside of ourselves, or in all just little kinds of ways, entering into the circles, into your workplaces, into your relationships. Okay, I'm practicing not harming you in my thoughts, words, and actions. Actions first, words, and then thoughts on a very refined level. And do you know the effect that has on us? On your own heart, that brings a deep sense of confidence and security. When you know that you have not afflicted other beings, you'll start to feel more and more and more sure inside your own being. And you have not in so many ways. So just start to notice that and then refine it in the way that the monks do, to not speak about other beings. That takes practice, right? That's the hard one, right? Hard for you. Yeah. It's always the words that are the hardest. That's why it takes practice. And we'll mess up. We'll feel the pain of it. We'll feel a little stab of regret. Oh, why did I say that? Oh, I shouldn't have. Or maybe we don't even draw the line of cause and effect. We feel a little nervous, a little unsteady. But when you have really good, like non-harming intentions in the world, a steadiness comes, a tranquility. And then that tranquility really serves the meditation practice. Not harming and then helping others. Same thing, so much joy. You want to give yourself a big gift, then ask how you can be of service to other people in your workplace, with your family. How can I help? Be helpful, generously giving to others. Same. You start getting really settled. I've been a good force in this world. And when you die, you'll feel good about it. When we've been unclear with our ethical behavior, when we'll die confused, remorseful. So life is asking us for this. It's like Groundhog's Day here. It's really asking us to show up full attention, fully conscious and mindful. That is the most meaningful thing that we can do. And of course, the mind gets like what's, thinking about itself all the time, what I want, my comfort, all of that can start to obsess our mind. And of course, we want to think about ourselves with loving kindness. But to really think about ourselves is to put in the causes that will lead to our happiness. And there is a moral component to that. It's a law. You live by it, and your life will go upward. So may it continuously. And in as much as you apply practice, it will. It's that we put in the causes and then we let the effects of our practice. So thank you for practice and for sitting together, everybody. We'll open up for questions or discussion. Is it going in and out?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, any thoughts or questions? Go ahead. Thank you, Juan.
You talked about trust in the practice. I was wondering, in your experience, was it like a particular moment you felt more trusting in the practice, or was it just so gradual over time you didn't even know that was happening and you just had it?
Gradual, and then a particular moment where certainty was established in me. But that the difference is, I mean, pretty right away when I did practice, I saw that it was a very effective thing. I was a seeker, and I tried a lot of things to make me happy, and I never felt something was so powerful as when. But like I said, I really dove in. Like I really, really, really did the practice. And so I just saw so many changes right away. And so that faith established in me early and young and never left. But then there's a kind of faith that made me see and understand and realize that the law of cause and effect is happening all the time and it's never not happening. It's like I thought it was happening here and then here. But no, every single thought, word, and action. So that is not unseeable for me now. So, and because of that, and with the understanding of which all of us will gain, we're starting to, or have maybe already, this distinction between what is a wholesome thought, what is an unwholesome thought. It's not clear to human consciousness without really sitting with ourselves and feeling on the inside all of our different intentions that we have, really feeling and experiencing the angry mind. What is it like on the inside? Really feeling and experiencing resentment on the inside, worry. What is it like? And what is loving kindness like? What is forgiveness like? What is compassion like? Yeah, so sada is the word for faith, which within Buddhist practice, there's no belief system to believe in. There's no required cosmology to believe in. There's a cosmology, but not a required. There's no worship. The Buddha was a human being who suffered, and then found a psychological kind of program, like 12 steps almost, except for very, very, very deep and profound transformational to go beyond um, suffering. Sada is faith. It's one of the five balas they call pancha balas, along with mindfulness, concentration, energy, and wisdom. And it's weak in me. Some people are faith temperaments. Does anybody identify with being a faith, having a lot of faith? It's not my strongest. Um, we want to imbalance with wisdom within a Buddhist practice. But the sada is also translated as trust and confidence. So to have a deep trust, faith, and confidence. I had an alcoholic mother, and so I needed I didn't trust authority growing up. And so I have not a lot of trust. And it made me kind of like a hyper vigilant person in my life. Meditation has helped with that. But there is that sense of then trusting, but not trusting just blindly, trusting wisely. In the Dharma, we can trust. And the more we find that it shows up for us, the more it becomes a wise kind of faith. This is something that, like I said, it's never hurt me when I've practiced the Dharma. Never once hurt me. Oh, that's trustworthy. That's something I can rest my heart on. I can have confidence in. Some people translate sada as conviction. So any of those words that but I just was feeling into what is faith? What is that? It's really recently that I more know and really love that quality. Yeah. hmm And knowing what the opposite of faith is. What do you guys feel like just exploring it in your own inner world is the opposite of faith? But yeah, doubt would be the one thing that you would think, but there's another one. Yeah, fear and worry. Yeah, but mostly worry. When the mind is stewing over, oh, is it going to be like, oh, how's the future? There's no trust. There's no faith in that, you know. Yeah, it's an interesting quality. And to think of it as a really uplifting quality, but in balance with wisdom. One with too much faith and can put their faith in the wrong things. You see that in spiritual communities where people have been abused, right? They put their faith in somebody because they appeared to be, a fabulous personality or whatever. And then there was no sila, no ethical practice in that. That's why the Buddhist, it's so thorough, it's so complete. Buddha laid out these guidelines for his monks to really protect people so that no abuse would happen. Really protective system. And humans need that, it turns out. We, fall into abuse really easily in small and large ways. Yeah. So real system of protection put in place by the Buddha. It's very refined, exquisite, beautiful in the beginning, middle, and end is what they say about it. And it's true. It's really exquisite, ancient, laid it down still, pretty flawless. I love it for that. Anyways, don't believe it. Always practice and see for yourself. It's not a doctrine. Buddhist system is not a doctrine put onto reality. It's a system to get us to align with reality, to see nature. Vipassana means seeing nature, the way things are. So the Buddha said, let go of the doctrine after the understanding is there. He told his followers, don't cling to his doctrine at all. He valued much more that people are in harmony with each other than they believe in him. He didn't want them squabbling over the systems there, Let go of your doctrines, your belief systems, all of them. It's just a system. It's just a practice. It's a raft to get you to the other shore. But the shore is life. And the understanding is human and it's universal. The, the shore is the universe, and the reality that we're all swimming and living in now. So not to ever get dogmatic about it. It's not a dogma, a practice system. Very, very, very reasonable. I read a sutta recently that I loved so much, where the Buddha was walking with 500 monks, and there were two people walking behind him, and one was disparaging the Buddha and the other one was praising him. And I guess they could hear him. And afterwards, the Buddha talked to the monks and said, "Do not let yourselves get angry at somebody that disparages me." And he said, "If you're angry, would you be able to discern if what they said was true or not?" It's a really good question. And the monks are like, "No, we wouldn't." It's a really good question, isn't it? Would you be able to discern? No, when we're angry, we can't. We can't discern. Like, the mind just goes against, it attacks, right? It doesn't take in a story. And he said, so just say what's true and what's not true. Don't get angry about it. Yeah. It's a good one. Anyone else? Go ahead, Juan.
In so many of the I've been practicing for a while now, and I've been active in at least three Western style Buddhist sangha, one temple. And so much, and so much of us, our practice is centered around meditation, and there's a lot to go into there. There's a lot to learn there. I'm not saying there isn't, but when I listen to teachers like yourself who've been abroad, I'm wondering, the Sila training, is that something you got mostly in your time in Burma? Is that something you picked up and figured out ways of applying to your daily life from your reading? Were there specific teachers that emphasize Sila? Or, because so many of the emphasis is on the formal practice and not on the behavioral stuff. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Are you guys finding here? Do people talk about Sila? Sila's virtue, the 5 precepts, or the way we talk about? Do you guys hear much about it? Yeah, Alexis. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. I feel like people are talking about it more. I feel like uh, it's just one of those practices, and it was the true for me. It's like when they start talking about the rules, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to hear about that. Right. It was funny. I had that resistance to it, but I still did the practice. But I had resistance to it for some reason. And now I just really know it. And James and I actually want to do a study on it, because I was very mindful about it in the beginning of my practice. And again, I started to have that feeling of safety. And now I know it's because of Sila that I started to have that feeling of safety in the world. And that mindfulness is studied to see the effects, you know, proven to reduce stress and all of that. But if they were to study Sila, then you would see the same thing in terms of a reduction of your own stress. If you become mindful about your actions, Sila means conduct, the way we conduct ourselves in the world with our words. And it can happen so often that we don't realize we're feeling nervous and insecure because of something we just said that was out of turn, or that was mean, or that was whatever, or just complaining, or, whatever. It's like it has a really profound effect on our psyche, a really, really deeply. So that's why it's not for rules. It's not because you're going to be eternally damned or whatever. It's not for that, but it is to have a value system that is helpful and reliable to, you know. But yes, in Burma, it's very foundational, and they talk about it all the time to, a degree that would annoy me. But it does not at all annoy me anymore, because I really, really see how powerful it is, how protected we are. And I want you to be protected. I want you to be as protected as I was. So holding that part of the practice close to you will really refine your practice in wonderful ways and protect you. Yeah. Yay, Sila. We it's so fun. It is so fun. It's a good time. We we actually geek out on it on the board meetings here, talking about, yeah. Yeah, I think now timing wise, people are able to hear it more, meditation has seeped into the culture a lot more. People are going deeper. And so now talking about it has become, and which is great because we need it as a structure and a refuge for our life and a value system. And somebody asked a really great question before. I'm sorry if you've heard me say this because I feel like I have said it a lot, but somebody posed a question: is morality objective or subjective? And there are subjective moralities, but the 5 precepts are objective moralities. They're harm that is visible. So, I'm trying to think of a subjective morality. There's a lot. I mean, we can put a lot of different things, but harm and, homosexuality, for example, that's a subjective morality. There's no harm that you can see. Consensual people, there's no physical harm. So the precepts are really basic, like it's observable. Can't hurt people physically or divide people among each other or lie to people, that is committing adultery, all those kinds of things, or going outside of a committed relationship. Those are harms that you can see. They are harms. So they're human precepts. That's what the Sayadaw Pandita used to call them. They're very simple. They're sweet, they're very simple and sweet. And then intoxicating. Why the intoxicating one?
Harder to keep the others.
It makes it harder to keep the others, said Alexis, and that's exactly right. Yeah. So it's not to take away from your good time. but we can really explore our relationship to intoxication, and does it lead to harm on a personal level or on an external level more? You ever watch those movies? They have them all the time now about I am a killer or whatever. People who kill. You guys don't go to dark places like I do, huh? Okay. It's sociological for me. I'm really like the human condition. I'm always like, it's interesting. How does one get driven to kill another? Nearly 100% of the time when they're intoxicated. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So maybe we didn't bring ourselves there. Have you guys been intoxicated before? Okay. Have you ever done anything you regret because of being intoxicated? Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. I mean, if anything you're going to take away from your mindfulness, it's dangerous. I saw another thing on where this young girl was driving intoxicated and killed 2 people. And I was just like, God, that could have been me when I was 20. I did that and just made the wrong turn at the wrong time. Their life and her life is over. So that, just highlighting, yeah, intoxicants can have negative consequences in our life. Yeah.
I just feel called to go back to the faith thing for a second, because it's something I work as a therapist, and it's something I talk about with my clients. And I think like the obstacle, like faith to me is like, it's almost like changing the TV program in your head, like TV channel. Like you got to get on a different channel. And if your channel is one of a lot of trauma, like every time we have trauma, like we have to like find that trust and faith again, right?
Yeah.
Because it gets broken. And so depending on how much of that you have in your past, right? Like it's really going to involve like thinking in a whole new way and finding like trust, finding it again and again inside, right? Or in the bigger picture, like you said, versus a person.
Yeah.
Or, when we're children and have alcoholic parents, for example, right? We trust our parents are God, right? So then we have to, where is that trust is broken from a young age.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this, the idea of like, you know, if you look at like those 5 precepts, like finding the faith in that. And like you said, with the wisdom part, which I look at like from DBT, I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's like wise mind is the intersection between the rational mind and the emotional mind, right? Like it's like that centerpiece, not just like blind faith. And I think like when we have trauma, it's scary to trust
Yeah.
because our trust was so broken.
Yeah.
And also we know internally our energetic state, like inside, matters almost more than what we see externally, because of course that's affecting how we're predicting and perceiving our reality.
Mm.
I just felt called to share that.
Yeah, very good. And, you know, for me, I just felt on the inside of what sada is. You know, we're really exploring all of our emotions, and we don't know, is anger trustworthy? Is worry trustworthy? Is, you know, what is this emotion? What is loving kindness? I didn't know until I really developed it in my practice. I don't think I ever, well, I never really tasted it, the liberating quality that loving kindness can be. And so same with faith, like I didn't even know I probably felt it before. I put faith in things, you know, and then it was broken or whatever. So I probably felt that sense of trust, but I couldn't have named it as a feeling. And now I can name it as I can feel the inside of the wholesomeness, but again, it needs to be grounded with wisdom on the other side, because there's so many things we can put trust into that are not trustworthy. Yeah, so that's the wisdom piece. But feeling on the inside, and it takes away, they say, the 5, I can't remember what they're called. It's not in the Theravada tradition, but in one of the Buddhist traditions, 5 major fears. When sada is there, the 5 big fears are not there. What do you think one of the 5 big fears would be? Fear of, we all have them.
Yeah.
Death, yeah. Fear of. That's not one of them. No. Loss of livelihood is one. Fear of a loss of livelihood. Fear of a loss of health. Fear of public humiliation. Yeah. And then there's one more. And but yeah, so with faith, then when that quality is there, there's just a sense of trusting. And like I said, the more you're in tune with your practice and mindfulness and really bringing your meditation practice into your life, the more you'll feel like you can embody that feeling of faith and trust, because you will be protected, but with wisdom. So you're not like looking for faith and trust in somebody that's an abusive person, or, you know, that you've seen them again and again hurt others. And then you're not going to go back to those same people with faith and trust. That would be not so smart. Yeah. But it is a beautiful quality. It's a beautiful quality. We're growing in the beautiful qualities in this practice and overcoming the afflictive ones. Yeah. Go ahead.
I just want to say the 5th one's fear of losing your mind.
Oh, yeah, that is. Yeah. 5th one's fear of losing your mind. That is, yes, there's 2 different people, and that's what 2 different 5 whatever, and that's one of them. Yep. Yeah. Go ahead, Jasmine.
You know, just this week, because now I've been practicing Vipassana for about the last 7 years. There was a different kind of Buddhism before that, but the mindfulness meditation that I've really practiced the last 7 years. And it was just like this week, I realized that there was a settling inside myself, because I know I can always rely on myself if I know to get back to the practice. It's like that's where I can find a refuge.
Yeah.
So it was such a great feeling that yeah, that's it.
That's great. That's a good share. So I have been really feeling our need in this world for connection, human connection like this. So let's do a lot of it. in our lives, in these groups, and then whatever other groups, in person, more in person, less screen. You guys, does that sound right? Yeah. I'm thinking about cutting it all out. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Still scared to do it though. But I've been inspired by people talking about cutting it all out. Because I feel like I do. I feel like I'm like, oh, I don't seek. This is a crutch. This is a crutch in some ways. I'm not seeking deeper connections because I have this. I don't want that. There's a beautiful sutta, the Karaniya Metta Sutta. Have you heard it? Do you think we're becoming more divided as a people? Yeah. Well, of course, it is always between ourselves. And then that's the world. So it really concerns me. And I know that the work of overcoming division has to be right within our own hearts. So the way I do that is to really examine my views and opinions and judgments and try to see people beyond that. I try to seek information for people that don't share my kind of same beliefs or whatever, and see the humanity in people that I don't like. I try not to harbor hatred for anybody. And that's actually really fun. It's a lot of fun to not hate. If you hate somebody for a long time and then you don't anymore, you're like, wow, it's so much better to see that person as a precious human being. It's so nice because that's closer to the truth anyways, right? One of the, what's that? Or being offended, yeah. Offended hurts also, right? Yeah. The antidote, a cohesive energy is loving kindness. It has that right within yourself. It brings together, it draws people to you, and then it brings people together. It's uniting. So I think we're going to have to be warriors in this now to counter the division in the world. Forgive, don't fall into tribal thinking, and try to reach outside of whatever circles you're in. If you're feeling alienated or isolated, I live in Las Vegas and it's a much more mixed group of people, and it's a much healthier way of being. People tolerate each other, and it's lovely. And I never lived in that before. I was always like silos of like certain kinds of thinking. And so then you start to feel really broken. So loving kindness is the practice, and it will bring down the walls in your own heart. Do you feel walls in your heart? Kind of a divided, no, you have no walls in your heart. Okay, very good. No, Herbie. Do you know that feeling? It's like right in your chest. You feel divided. You feel like not open and free. You're open and free. That's great. That's good. But one thing that can put the walls down is this practice of loving kindness. So do you guys do a lot of metta practice? Every day? Oh, well, the Buddha says to do it when you're standing, sitting, walking, or lying down. Just. Have you been doing that? No. Okay. Me neither. So I always have to remind myself. I have it as a spiritual aspiration to embody this in every moment of my life. I do it about 0.001% of the time so far. I'm working on it still. There's the Karaniya Metta Sutta, and I have found it very soothing just to read it. And so I'll read it to you as a close. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them do not the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, upwards to the skies, downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing, walking, seated, or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Thank you for your practice, everybody. Great to sit with you all. So take a moment and introduce yourself to somebody you haven't met before. There's cookies and tea here.